The Americans tell lies. Each day our forces grow stronger. Each day we move closer to our goal of driving the infidel... What are they?
Nothing. Carry on.
Driving the infidels from our motherland. We are not afraid to... Are they subtitles? They are, aren't they?
No.
Well, what do I need subtitles for? Can't you understand what I'm saying? I studied English at the bloody American University in Cairo.
Well, obviously I can understand what you're saying.
Oh,
but
you see how they condescend to us with their subtitles.
Oh, maybe it's teletext, for the hearing impaired.
Teletext.
No, a lot of TVs come with teletext nowadays.
Wait, say something again.
My friend has an 80
Hey, how come he doesn't need subtitles?
Well, obviously he's comprehensible.
No, I'm not.
Look, if you...
I speak perfect English. She sells seashells by the seashore. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. Round the ragged rocks, the Oh!
The situation remains as dangerous and volatile as ever here in northern Iraq. While the rebuilding continues...
What? I can't understand you speak English. Where is your subtitles now? Oh, you think you're so good. Look at me. I don't need subtitles.
Kerry Downs, Iraq.
Shut up.
Yes. Cyber, that is your cue, brother. That is the shining, Batman spotlight of the Bleeding Edge right there.
Okay. I feel like you just jumped franchises.
Yeah, are you allowed to say Batman on this podcast?
We talk about it all the time with the Batman, so yeah, we jump franchises all the time. Anyways, so thank you for tuning in out there in live stream land, people. This is the MCU's Bleeding Edge. Hope you enjoyed that new music, which is very nicely done. The graphic, though, I'm not too thrilled with it, but hey, what it is, what it is. Anyways, so welcome to the podcast, people, the MCU Bleeding. Of course, I am Cyberneticshark, co-host along with Mr. Jeff Sloboda, TrueKnowledge. And, of course, we have a great evening planned for you guys tonight. We are going to be going over part 1 of Age of Ultron for you guys. So, yeah, so we're going to be doing about half segments. We're going to be doing around half of the film, and then we'll finish off with part 2 next week, talking about the Age of Ultron. We like to split up these, Avenger films a little bit because there's so much content to go over. We don't want to overwhelm you, and also we just want to make sure we get through everything and get all those little great, fine little pieces about these films. So I hope you guys enjoy. So we have with us tonight, of course, returning from the under depths of the wonderful Hell universe, Mr. Lord Deathman. Great to have you, sir.
Thanks for having me, Cyber. Great to be here.
Awesome. Great to have you. We have also returning with us Miss Marie here, who is has been on before and is a MCU watcher and is a great person to have on panel. Welcome, Marie.
Thank you.
We also have, for the first time I'm meeting, I think this is also his first time on the Bleeding Edge, is Mr. Myke from the Writing the Right podcast. Welcome, Myke. Thank you for joining us tonight.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Oh, you didn't know? Me and Myke are buddies.
Awesome. And of course, my other co-host over there, Mr. Jeff, TrueKnowledge Sabota. You know him.
Baby,
he's over there.
I'm getting after it.
He's after it, people. Yeah.
I'm fucking feeling the energy, baby.
Yep. Yeah. All right. So we're going to start off tonight, of course, watching the trailers for Age of Ultron. But before we do that, Mr. Jeff wanted to basically show you the Moon Knight trailer.
Oh, we got to.
And, because it is an upcoming Disney Plus series. So we're going to watch that for you guys, and then we'll give a little snippet on what we saw. So, Mr. Jeff, take it away.
And Lord Deathman, dude, have you ever decided to try to sell your weight loss package you got going on with the whole skeletal fucking deal? Dude, you could make a killing, bro. You be straight.
Okay, I'm not ready to franchise it just yet, Jeff.
Oh, okay. let me play that. Let me play that Moon Knight trailer.
DD Mega Doo-Doo. I'm sorry.
Oh, geez, technical difficulties. I'm sorry.
Hello, and welcome to Staying Awake.
I have a sleeping disorder. I can't tell the difference between my waking life and dreams.
Hello, and welcome to Staying Awake.
I think I'm losing it.
Real catch you are. You're bloody useless. Stevie.
Stephen. I can't tell the difference between life and dreams.
Thank you.
Lost the contact lens.
Hope you find it.
Thanks. Now hold the phone. Yeah.
Oh my god, you're alive. What's wrong with you, Mark?
Why did you call me Mark? It must be very difficult. The voice in your head. Shut up! There's chaos in you. Embrace the chaos. At night.
Oh yeah, the Moon Knight
Dude,
trailer, people. Woo!
That was awesome, man. That fucking trailer is great.
That's a
Dude,
really
that costume
great
looks
trailer.
legit,
It does.
Yep.
That looks fantastic.
right? And because that was going to be one of the ones that's like, how are you going to do that without it coming off?
They know it's that
ridiculous?
good. That's why they only
Yeah,
showed
like
a little
sort of
bit of it
official
because they only
or
wanted to
something.
tease us.
Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, so it's a really well-constructed looking suit. I mean, that's a great first look at it. I mean, that little snippet of a trailer is pretty decent. I mean, gives you quite a bit of insight into kind of what the series is probably going to be about. We know
Cyber, what is that accent? I don't think that's a British accent. What is that accent he's supposed to
It's
have?
a chimney sweep accent.
Yeah, chimney sweep.
okay.
Yeah.
Chimney sweeps use that accent.
Well, isn't
All over the world.
isn't the character of Mark, Moon Knight's character, isn't he from like the Middle East area or where the Moon God is from? Isn't he like supposed to be like either Middle Eastern or somewhere in that
He's
area?
actually Jewish.
Jewish?
And I'm not, there's no irony or sarcasm there.
Yeah,
He is Jewish and he does worship an Egyptian god. So,
Yeah, so
make
I was
of
about to
that
say,
what
there's
you
a,
will.
there's a big pyramid thing going on in the imagery.
Yeah, I think he is definitely he's supposed to have a somewhat of an accent. I don't know if that's exactly what it's supposed to sound like, but definitely it's an interesting accent that they have Oscar Isaac using in the film. So I don't know how well that's going to turn over as the series goes on in the 6 episodes. Who knows how it'll sound? Maybe it might get, it might be great. It might not. Who knows? But I still think that Ethan Hawke coming in as the bad guy, that's kind of interesting. Like I mentioned to Jeff
That's
before
who
we
it
watched.
was.
Like I mentioned to Jeff in our review of the trailer the other day, his hair, Ethan Hawke's hair in that trailer just looks so fluffy.
Cyber,
so
I'm
weird.
telling you right now, okay? I know 5'5" raging queer gay dudes that would beat that dude up. The way he looks in that fucking trailer, bro.
Oh, that's good. That's good to know. Anyway, so everyone just take a minute and tell me or tell the audience, what did you think about that trailer? Was there anything that really caught your eye? Was there anything that you found interesting or you're excited to see in this series and so forth? So starting with you, Myke, please.
Yeah, so I actually like the fact that the trailer didn't really give much away. So you get a really good painting of his character, but you don't really know what the movie's about. And I hate when trailers like give away the entire thing in 2 minutes. It's like, all right, well, do I actually want to see the movie now? So I really like the way that they painted his like schizophrenia. So yeah, I'm excited for it. It's looks good to me.
Awesome. Yeah, definitely looks really interesting. Yeah, and you're right. It does. It gives you a good kind of backstory or kind of a little bit of information about who Moon Knight is, Mark Spector, and I think that they did a good job of that. How about you, Marie?
I really like the visuals. To be fair, like the palette actually seems like it's pulled from a lot of if you guys remember the old Netflix series, with the dark palette and the extremely well delineated sort of set pieces. And also, can we talk about that costume? That costume is legit. And that would legitimately be one of the really hard ones to do, because I have to admit, I was kind of like, is this going to look ridiculous? How far am I going to have to suspend my disbelief? But no, that's really fantastic, especially with the way that the CGI kind of wrapping comes up. That's exciting.
I definitely would have to agree there. Yeah, I think the CG in that scene that they do show was pretty flawless. It looked really natural. It looked like it was something just growing out of him. I thought they did a really good job there. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays through the actual series itself too, as well, and how dynamically and visual it is too, as well, because the palettes of it, the color palettes of the show, look really fun too. I really like that look of what they brought to it so far. So yeah, I definitely agree there. How about you, Lord Deathman?
I like the trailer a lot. I think, if you've spent any amount of time reading Marvel comic books, you've probably gone through a brief Moon Knight phase trying to figure that guy out. So I'm a fan, and I like this trailer and what they're setting up for a number of reasons. One, the cinematography looks really different than all of the other Disney shows. This looks darker. You're in a lot of dark rooms and dark spaces. And I don't think they've done that before with any of the previous Marvel shows. I think the biggest draw for me is going to be Oscar Isaacs. I think he's a great actor. And I love the way social media kind of exploded about his accent. It's like the biggest distraction of the trailer. Is he really going to do that accent? But I'm there for it. I like the suit. I do wish it was practical instead of pixels, but I kind of see how practical would have been tough. As Marie's saying, when you see that on the panel, you really wonder, how am I going to do that with clothing? But yeah, I'm all in.
Awesome. I would agree. I'm very much into, and I just think it's definitely something that's going to be. I think this is probably going to be a series that a lot of people are going to enjoy. I feel a lot of people have a lot of feelings towards Moon Knight. They've wanted to see Moon Knight in the MCU. They've wanted to see this character come to life on the big screen, or even just on any screen in some sort of live action form. So I think this is going to be a big hit for Disney. Just let's hope that they keep that great momentum that they've been keeping with a lot of the series. I don't know how everybody else feels, but I mean, Loki, WandaVision, etc. All those shows have been very successful for them. A lot of people either love it or they hate it. I have a feeling that's going to be the same with this too, as well, because there's always going to be those people that want that comic book accurate type of deal. And MCU likes to take their liberties sometimes. So hopefully, they'll stay pretty true to the to the storyline. So I'm looking forward to it too. How about you, Jeff? What were your thoughts?
Well, I just want to be clear. Oscar Isaac's fucking beard in Dune was so damn sexy and fucking awesome that, literally, he could actually drop Netflix and chill on chicks and just be hitting it left and right. He'd be making it work. You know what I'm saying? It's that good. But either way, that has nothing to do with Moon Knight, of course. But it's all good. So basically, I feel like Moon Knight's going to have a WandaVision type of deal going on, where there's going to be a starvingness, a desperation in the fandom for content. It's like crack. You know what I'm saying? Give me that shit. You know what I mean? Like with Marvel, the fandom is huge. It's massive. And they've been throwing Disney Plus series at us left and right over and over again and shit, and then dropping movies on us after they dropped Endgame and Infinity War and fucking rocked us. You know what I'm saying? At that point, you take it away and throw Boba Fett at us for 3 months. I mean, look, Boba Fett's fucking great, but at the end of the day, it's not Marvel. So, at that point, I think Moon Knight's going to have that same kind of buzz that WandaVision had, that side buzz. You know what I mean? That talk, that cooler talk type of vibe. I think it's going to be that kind of series that's going to drive that type of theory and and wonder kind of what's going on. I think there's going to be angles to that. I think that the Moon Knight series is going to mix a lot of different genres, and it's going to boil down for me, like, as far as the kind of fan I am and like what I like and shit, it's going to boil down to like how noir and like dark it boils down to. Like, it's fine with him beating up on like Werewolf by Night and shit and look, pretty violent and whatnot. But I want to see some darkness, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, be legit with it. At that point, like, that for me, it's not a make or break. Like, if they Disney, look, I'm gonna take a Lord Deathman term here. If they Disneyfy the fuck out of Moon Knight, I'll still think it's dope as shit. But at the same time, I'll be like, yo, come on, bro. You know what I'm
It's gonna
saying?
be hard to Disneyfy this one.
That trailer, or is it just me?
What's that?
Did anybody get a Legion feel off that trailer, or is it just me?
In a little bit of a way, in a small way, yeah. I mean, because there is because Legion does deal with a similar type of dichotomy in terms of the multiple personalities and whatnot. The difference being with Legion, it's deeper. It's like with him
Right.
mutant powers.
Right, but I mean, from the composition perspective, it didn't quite have that kind of Wes Anderson sort of wallpaper that Legion had, but it definitely had like a lot of the plays with texture and also how the action sequences worked.
Well, what really intellectually struck me was the whole concept of like, if you have this disorder, what if you impregnate multiple women and shit, and you just like you become a different person? Like, after you impregnate, then you knock them up. Like you turn into like Jack when your fucking name was Nick. Like, does that waive your fucking parental rights? You know what I'm saying? Like, what's up with that? Come on now.
Yep. All right, thank you for that, Jeff. All right, so we're gonna move on. That was a little bit about the Moon Knight. And next up is, of course, our part 1 of Age of Ultron review, people. So we're going to start off by showing the awesome trailers. There was 3 of the trailers, so we're going to be showing those. We're going to talk a little bit about that and then get right into the meat of this film. So, Jeff, if you got those ready, sir, wave it away.
Shout out to Jeff, too. Shout out to Jeff in the comment section. Shout out to Bit Era Gaming. Costume did look awesome. Yes, it did. Jeff agrees 6 episodes is a very short time for an origin story. It is very short. That's actually a really good point. 6 episodes is short.
No, Matt Malkovich is never going to do an accent, and God knows I don't want to see him do it ever.
I just want to put this out there right now. One actual like legitimate thing I'm going to say: Moon Knight might be a show that might be so damn good they might have to give it a 2nd season. They might have to.
I mean, I'm sure they're already lined up for multiple seasons, the Disney way.
No, because if he becomes super popular, they'll want to save him for the films.
Yeah,
I'm terrible. I have no knowledge of Moon Knight other than images. Like, I've seen images in places, but that's about it.
Don't worry, Marie. No one does.
What do you know about crack cocaine?
I feel the same way.
Y'all tell anybody I kill you! Peanut butter and crack snake.
He kicked his habit back in the joint. Now he's got that coins. He's finally home. He's Tyrone.
I'm gonna show you something beautiful. Everyone screaming for mercy. You want to protect the world, but you don't want it to change. You're all puppets, tangled in strings.
It's the end. The end of the path I started us on.
Nothing lasts forever.
I'm trying. I'm working on it.
This vulnerable world needs something more powerful than any of us.
Everyone creates the thing they dread. Ultron in the flesh. No matter who wins or loses, trouble always comes around. You meddle to something you don't understand.
We have no place in the world.
I'm gonna tear you apart from the inside.
Oh boy.
I was designed to save the world. People will look to the sky and see hope. I'll take that from them first. There's only one path to peace. Their extinction.
Tried to create a suit of armor around the world. But I created something terrible.
Artificial intelligence.
It's called the Ultron program. I'm sick of watching people pay for our mistakes. Isn't why we fight so we can end the fight and go home?
Well, you amazingly failed.
Here we all are. With nothing but our wit and our will to save the world. So stand and fight.
No way we all get through this. I got no plans tomorrow night.
I'm always picking up after you boys.
We can tear them apart. From the inside. That's the best you can do!
You had to ask.
Well,
We
the trailer
emerged.
is amazing.
We're back.
Okay. All right. So that was the trailers, people. Thank you for watching. Anyway, so why am I echoing? Hold on.
It's for emphasis.
I guess so I can hear myself, I guess. Anyways, so I want to, so the trailers. So we just watched 3 trailers. Each one was slightly different to show a little bit different things in each, one. And we've got a lot of the same stuff, unfortunately. But so overall,
Cyber, do you mind if I just point out that literally after watching those trailers, I would go pay to go see Age of Ultron in the theater right now?
I'm glad you would, sir. Anyway, so question for you guys. So give just a brief 1 minute or so. Just explain, what did you think about these 3 trailers overall? And did it hype you up for the movie? Did you see it when it they first came out in 2015, late 2014, and did it impact your view on the film? You know, that kind of stuff. So, starting with you, Lord Deathman.
Well, I think I watched that first trailer, and my practice is usually to avoid all of the other trailers if I'm really excited about something. I was actually at Comic-Con when I saw that first trailer. That was the year they announced Age of Ultron, and I was like, wow, we're here. We're sort of in the enlightenment of comic book movie. We're just it's happening. They are literally going to adapt Age of Ultron, which they didn't do. They did not adapt the comic book version of Age of Ultron, but at the time, that's what fans were sort of being guided to believe. But in any event, I love that trailer. I like the fact that Disney was sort of doing that meta reference on themselves, using the Pinocchio music for Ultron. It looked like a darker film. I thought, wow, we might see a true murder bot in Ultron, as he's depicted in the comic books. So, yeah, I don't think I ever watched those second two trailers. So that it might have been my first time seeing them here on this show, right here on the Bleeding Edge. But yeah, I was truly excited. I saw Lizzie Olsen come out, Aaron Taylor Johnson. They did the whole dog and pony show, and it was really a big deal. And everyone was really excited for the follow up, of course, to the 2012 Avengers movie. So I was just excited as you could be about any comic book movie, and I actually loved those trailers.
Awesome. Thank you. How about you, Marie?
I generally don't watch trailers. I try really hard not to, because I find that a lot of trailers will frequently drop the best segments of the film into the trailer, and then I've seen all the good stuff and I get disappointed in the movie. And for me, that's kind of what happened with Ultron. I was like, if I had seen those trailers, I would have been like so much more. I was excited for the film when I saw it in 2015, but I left that theater very, very disappointed. And I would have been, I think that disappointment would have been so much worse had I seen those trailers and gotten all of that excitement.
Gotcha. I mean, some people, that's how it is for them. It's a very understandable. So thank you for that. How about you, Myke?
So I remember seeing the first one. I don't remember seeing the third one, so I don't think I knew Vision was in it prior to seeing the movie. Those three trailers would make me want to see the movie. And then you see the movie and it's like, oh, this is completely different from the tone of the trailers is 100% different from the movie. Like you can see, like in the Marvel movie, you can see like where Marvel's is in full control. And then like when Disney starts to take over and they start kind of like throwing in the jokes. I'm not trying to get into the movie too much, but the tone was completely different from the movie. And that's what disappointed me the most in the movie. I'm also a DC guy, but I do know like the major stories from Marvel. And I knew the story of Ultron. So I was hyped for that because as a DC fanboy, knowing like where the movie's going to go, because you know that that Marvel story, then it doesn't go that way. Because if I remember correctly, I think Ant-Man was the next movie. So like all right, well, Ultron is connected to Ant-Man, so I'm kind of like anticipating Ant-Man to get leaked into that Ultron movie, and it didn't happen. So, but yeah, the trailers themselves, fantastic. I would definitely go see the movie and then be disappointed all over again.
Awesome.
My friend, you are with me.
Awesome. Yeah, I would agree. Yes, the tone of the trailers is very different than the tone of the film. The trailers make it seem like it was going to be very much more action-packed, more comedy, more. It wasn't going to be as dark as it was, and then the actual film itself is very dark. So yeah, I can totally I see that feeling. I can see that different. What the trailers represented versus what the movie was. I can totally see that, and I agree. How about you, Jeff?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. Look, every single one of those trailers is almost as good as having sex, essentially. You know what I'm saying? Like it's close. You know what I mean? It's a give and take kind of thing. I mean, I don't want to say it's equal or whatever, but But basically, yeah, I mean, they're dope ass trailers. I love watching the reaction videos to this day of people from back then saying back then with Age of Ultron, because it has been that long ago since it came out. Watching people react to it, they're like fucking on crack. They're like, fucking running, yelling and shit, jumping and shit and everything. Seeing the Hulkbuster and everything and screaming, like I love it, man. It makes me excited, and I'm telling you right now, like, I'm fucking deader in my soul than fucking Lord Deathman is on like the 7th day of hell, So I mean, shit. At the end of the day, those were some good ass trailers, and I don't care what anybody says about the trailers or about Age of Ultron or about any part of the damn movie or whatever. It's fucking good. I love it, no matter what. And I'm still gonna be like, nope, still love it, no matter what y'all say, you haters. It's all good.
Right on.
I love it. It's like
Hey,
the Age of Ultron is like home for me. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it's home. And at the end of the day,
right, that quasi-abusive step parent, who's psychologically battered you into coming home every year. Yeah, no, I can see that.
Before we dig deep, I just want to point out that say what you want about Joss Whedon and whatnot, and say what you want about this movie, but without Joss Whedon and without Age of Ultron, you never would have gotten an Infinity War or Russo Brothers or a fucking Endgame. It never would have happened. This had to happen. There had to be that stepping stone that elevated them to that level. And I'm telling you right now, if you take it away, you might not have gotten an Endgame.
Okay, thank you. Awesome. All right, so let's get into the meat of this film. All right, so part 1, Avengers Age of Ultron review, people. Woohoo! So, of course, we've been talking about Joss Whedon. I thought we'd take a minute to talk about Joss Whedon a little bit. I know some of us, such as Lord Deathman, was asking about talking about Joss Whedon earlier. And just take a brief moment. And with the recent circumstances surrounding, Joss Whedon, I remember back when this film came out, there was controversy around him. And now, once again, there's controversy about him. Gal Gadot came out with a statement saying he was a certain way, and he said, no, I wasn't. And basically, said, oh, it was because of language barrier and so forth and stuff like that. So go ahead and take a minute and just say, if there's anything about Joss Whedon you'd like to talk about. I mean, because he did do a decent job with the first Avengers. He did a pretty decent job with Age of Ultron, for directing what he did. And, I mean, he might not be the greatest human being, but still he gave us these 2 decent films that were, weren't too bad. Some of us might not think they're the greatest. Some of us might think they're the greatest. That's opinion. That's what opinions are. And that's what makes us human. We're allowed to have our own opinions. So this is a great thing. So anyways, starting with you, Lord Deathman, what would you like to say, or what about this whole Joss Whedon thing? What's your perspective on it?
When we were talking in the pre-show environment, I was just really curious to know if that was going to be off the table for the discussion, but I'm glad that it is open. I don't really have a lot to say about Joss Whedon. If ever there was anyone who was the victim of his own ongoing bit, it would be him. I think again, if you troll the fandoms, eventually you kind of become enamored of him, either in the comic books or what he's doing with Buffy. He was all over the landscape and very manic. And to hear all of these quasi tragic stories about his treatment of people on sets and women and people of color, none of it really surprised me. I wasn't holding him up to this incredible standard of, just because he can depict these quirky and charming dysfunctional families in his fiction that he had any of that kind of charm or humanity, frankly. I'm probably better than most about compartmentalizing the art from the artist, barring that you haven't killed any children or done something really high up on the human crime scale. So, I guess what I have to say about him is that I don't have much to say with him. And if he's sunsetting, I think he should just get on with it.
But wait a minute, Deathman, come on now. Dude, going from fucking Buffy to the goddamn Avengers? bruh. That's like
I don't think it was that linear. I don't think it was like that's
You're
like
the goat at that point.
I think it was like Buffy and then Firefly and then a couple of comic books and then a weird musical and then he got on board the Marvel train, which is a train he definitely
Don't forget Dollhouse.
Dollhouse. He definitely had the bona fides to jump into the Marvel pool, and I think he was an asset to them. I look at Age of Ultron briefly. I look at that as it's a mission statement, whereas Avengers was this broad action film that was really executed well. Age of Ultron pushes further and starts putting the landmarks for the world building. So if you're a Marvel nerd, it's like to hear the name Wakanda in a film, you're like, oh my God, good things are coming, right? To hear about Sokovia, to do all of that stuff. You're in love letter territory. If not him penning a one to you as a fan, he was in the margins. He was writing some notes for us hardcore Marvel fans.
Very true, very true. All right, so Marie, do you have any thoughts on Josh Whedon?
Like Lord Deathman, I was not particularly surprised when all of this started coming out because, there had been this really ugly through line thematically with a lot of the female characters that he portrayed. I mean, even in Buffy, there's such a tremendous amount of abuse that is kind of like Game of Thrones unnecessarily heaped on Buffy, that it doesn't actually serve anything other than to add emphasis. So that was really not, I mean, it wasn't a terrible shock. And certainly with what he does in Age of Ultron, with that very, that it comes out of nowhere, right? The whole discussion about fertility between Black Widow and the Hulk, right? And interestingly enough, like she starts equating fertility with, and infertility with being monstrous. And that's such a strange thing for a quote unquote feminist director, feminist scriptwriter to put into the film, So it was just like, my dude, what are you doing? Also, I mean, we're talking about a man who literally threw the word quim into, a PG-13 movie as well, which is kind of deeply offensive if you have a background in medieval literature, which weirdly enough I do. Because, everybody had to have a random minor in college.
Very interesting. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, that works.
All right. So, yeah, thank you. Anyways, how about you, Myke?
Well, I hate him because of what he did to Justice League.
Yes.
Like if you watch the Josh Whedon cut, so the first issue is DC grabbing Josh Whedon when you had Zack Snyder. Like those guys don't mesh at all with how they make the movies. So you knew it was going to be bad. But I was like, all right, the movie was mostly done by Zack Snyder. It can't be too bad. And then you watch it and it's just random comedy thrown in. The character development is horrible. Wonder Woman is
deeply sexualized. Like every frame, Gal Gadot's butt is in it. Right. Like there's literally like the film opens with an upskirt shot, and I remember sitting in the theater and thinking to myself, "Wow, Whedon, you have out sexist the man who made Sucker Punch."
I think it would be a bigger power, like woman power, independent like thing if they actually had a real crotch shot, like some straight vagina. You know what I'm saying? Like this.
No.
I mean,
we're just going to set that aside.
Sharon Stone did that, and look at where her career is. Something that worked out too well for her.
Well,
yeah,
I would dig it.
But yeah, going off of like how Wonder Woman was, and how it was like strong female characters, but like it was still shot, not like they were men, but like the shot like focused on like the action shot, not on making sure like you get their boobs in the shot as well. Then you jump to Justice League, and it's like, oh, okay, so she's just a prop. That's what she's here for. And then you watch the Zack Snyder 4-hour cut, and it's like, oh, so this is the glorious movie that it could have been, and you put this out and you essentially killed the DCU. It's like, yeah, so I hate him with a passion.
Hey, but Mike.
Oh, and Ray Fisher. What he did to Ray Fisher.
The Snyder Cut, right, Mike? I mean, shit, we could have got nothing.
Yes, but that was because of the fans. It wasn't because of. It was like, I think because Josh Whedon destroyed the movie so much that people knew that Zack Snyder couldn't have done something this horrible.
Joss Whedon is like softcore porn, and the Russo brothers, when they do Marvel movies, is like hitting it raw, baby.
I mean, I would accept that analogy.
Quick non sequitur.
You feel right? You with me on that?
But you know, guys, I want to put something out there respectfully. You know, and I know that there's a lot of feelings in the room here about Josh Whedon. Anyone who changes their name to Joss, be wary. That being said, though, you know, how much of this is on us, you know, for electing him king of all fandoms for a long stretch of time. I remember going to his sort of Private Idaho website and seeing all of the acolytes there who were, you know, there was no in with that group unless you were in. Very similar to Warren Ellis or anybody who sort of built up a cult of personality around them and then turned out to be, you know, a heel. But that being said, I think if you go back and retrospectively watch some of this stuff, this stuff wasn't new. What you were seeing in Justice League in terms of how Wonder Woman was portrayed, this wasn't new. There was a consistent pattern here. I mean, did we all grow up and just suddenly find out it was evil, or were we giving him a pass all that time? And if so, how culpable in this are we? You know.
I think so. First off, when Warren Ellis turned out to be a heel, no one was surprised because that was literally part of the persona for Warren Ellis. Right. But with Joss, Buffy was really one of the first times that we saw, you know, these theoretically like strong female characters. And so like he ends up getting a pass because he moved into a vacuum. And as part of that vacuum, he's able to create this cult of personality. And, you know, cults are cults for a reason.
And I you know, I can understand that, but I will say the way he portrayed himself as a feminist was so as the exemplar of feminism, right? When you have a guy that says all the right things about feminism and presses all the right buttons, that you're getting into this is kind of too good to be true territory. So I always was like, this feels like a little bit of play acting. There's probably not the same thing going on behind the scenes.
Well, Deathman, just real quick, when it boils down to it, you can be a male feminist or whatever, but at the end of the day, if you're not even touching pussy, like, you don't know shit about women. You know what I'm saying? So at that point, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, male feminists could just go, like, hang out with Joss.
All right. So is there anything you would like to mention there, Jeff, about Josh Whedon?
Oh, most definitely. Yeah, like I said, I mean, he deserves the freaking, like, MVP award for going from Buffy to freaking the Avengers, dude. And you want to talk about, like, elevation, baby. That was MJ shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, he dunked, like, 3 times on that bitch. Dude, Buffy sucked. Like, I'm sorry, but, like, you got to be, like, drunk as
Buffy
shit.
the movie or the TV series?
You got to be drunk as shit and, like, passed out to, like, enjoy Buffy, basically. Like, asleep. You know what I'm saying? Like, no, I'm just playing. It was cute.
I mean, that's a valid question. Like the movie or the TV series, my dude.
It's a super valid question because the movie was kind of awesome, actually.
I really deeply.
It was.
I'm not gonna lie.
Movie.
It's in all of its terrible glory, including Paul Rubin's death scene.
Yeah.
I don't want to bash Buffy. Buffy was okay for like that time. Buffy was all right. It wasn't horrible or anything. You know, it wasn't terrible. It was only somewhat bad. But no, I just think that like I said, Joss Whedon. I mean, hey, look, Age of Ultron is not just a link in the fence. It's not just a stepping stone that got us to like Civil War and then got us to, you know, Infinity War and Endgame and everything. It has its own individual appeal. You know what I'm saying? And you know, say what you want about the different parts of it, as to whether they come together the right way or if it fits and the story and this and that. But I think that, like, honestly, Ultron was great. Like, James Spader was great as Ultron, and I think Joss Whedon did a pretty decent job with Age of Ultron. Like, maybe, I don't know, maybe they could have done some things differently, but at the end of the day, no matter what you say about Joss Whedon, he fucking handled his business with the Avengers. It's that simple. Like, he killed it.
We're going to have to get into this because I really, really want to hear how Jeff is going to explain to me that there are aspects of this film that are okay.
There are.
Yep. So anyway, so thank you for that, Jeff. So moving on, just want to throw a shout out to Arch from the Podcast Champions in the comment section. Thank you for commenting, Arch. Appreciate your comments there. Just talking about BVS along with other DC projects killed the DCU. The Schneider Cut was going to save it. Yeah, I know. We all know that the Schneider Cut wasn't going to save the DCU, but we do know that we did get our fan service finally. We finally got that film that we were looking for when it was supposed to come out in 2017. And, we finally got to see what Snyder's vision was, and that's what made it so great. And I really feel that this is going to be a big opportunity for the DCU to improve, to see what they can do with this. I mean, with the success of Aquaman, the success of Shazam so far, in the DCU now, these two film series are probably what's going to start taking it and bringing it back to where it should be. So thankfully, hopefully, the Flash
Warner Brothers is not going to be able to carry it.
Hopefully they'll be able to extend it and get it, back to a somewhat reasonable scale. It's never going to top Marvel. We know that. It's never going to, because Disney has the monopoly to be able to make these things like they do. So we know that they're never going to be, but still we can get it back up to par. I feel they're going in the right direction. Warner Brothers, they don't make the best decisions, but hopefully maybe they'll get somebody in there that will make the right decisions. You never know. You can't say
Mike's
never,
face.
ever.
That's where I am. Mike's face.
Mike's face and head gesture. And believe me, man, I know what it's like to be in a fandom where the IP holders are just scumbags.
Really are.
Yeah.
Like the DC animated movies are like fantastic. Like, I really can't think of, well, let's not say that, but all of them, or most of them, are really great compared to the live action movies. And I don't understand.
Very much so.
Yeah. So I just don't understand how you can create these great animated movies and then just completely just mess up on these live action movies.
Two different departments.
Yep.
Yeah, I know. It still irritates me.
I am there. I am so there. And it hurts my soul.
Now watch what's going to happen. They're going to have the Batman come out. It's going to be freaking a blockbuster, and it's not even going to be a part of the DCEU. It's not even going to be a part of it.
Just like the Joker was. This is going to be a fantastic movie that doesn't.
Cyber, you mind if I jump in real quick?
Brief. Keep it brief.
I'll keep it brief. I promise. So anyways, just wanted to point out again too, just like I mentioned earlier, that as again, I totally understand that everybody's allowed to have their opinion when it comes to these films and the whole MCU and the fandom and whatnot. And that's what makes things interesting. Like that's one of the best parts of being a part of the Bleeding Edge experience, is that we do defer from each other and we all have different opinions and we throw them out there and we fucking get after it. You know what I'm saying? If you come on here, you better not be scared. You know what I'm saying? Come on now. So anyways, I just want to point out that I got hella love for Jeff in the comment section and Arch and everything and whatnot. And Marco and Renee from Podcast of Champions was going to be with us earlier tonight, but something happened with her, I don't know, her phone or her iPad or whatever. She ended up not being able to come on the show. But Renee is a regular on the Bleeding Edge, and we love her, and she's a part of the team at times. And, we just want to shout her out and whatnot. And I just want to thank Mike, and I want to thank Marie very much. And I want to say, fuck you to Death Man. No, I'm just kidding.
Okay.
No, I'm just playing. I love you, Death Man. You know I do. Come on now.
Not smart to insult death, my friend.
Back at you, Jeff. If I had to pretend to be gay for a day, I'd kick it with you, bro. You know what I'm saying? Because I'd be like, you know what? Let me get in that skull, baby. No, but I'm just playing. But no, just on a serious note, I just want to point out that as far as the trailers go, as this is the last thought on them, for where they were at, if you take into consideration the timing, like where we were at in the MCU and like where we were at, years or earlier from now, what we saw in those trailers, I mean, some of those action scenes and stuff like that, the Avengers jumping together, like in that initial action scene or whatever, where they all kind of like launch and everything, that shit was awesome, man. Like I mean, seriously, at that time, it was like top of the line.
Very true. Very true. All right. So, like I said, getting into the meat of the Avengers. So the movie basically starts off with this huge action sequence. We get right into it. We have all the Avengers that are in Sokovia. This is our first, time going to Sokovia. We see Sokovia the first time, which becomes a big part of the film. And they're basically going after the scepter that Loki had in Avengers 1. Basically, we have this giant action sequence that happens. We get some great comedy, especially the line when Captain all of a sudden says language to Tony after he says shit, which is hilarious and which runs throughout the whole entire film. We basically get our first introduction to the twins. So my first question for you guys is, what were your guys' thoughts when you got to see our first outing of Quicksilver and Wanda? So were you excited? Were you looking forward to seeing him in the film? What were your initial thoughts? Starting with you, Myke.
So I was happy for maybe 10, 15 seconds. And then I remember that X-Men was owned by Fox and I immediately stopped caring. So it was like, oh, cool, they're here. And then, but their father isn't going to show up. And his friends aren't going to show up. And the people that he fights against aren't going to show up. I mean, now they are, but they threw them in there. They weren't mutants; they were just enhanced. It's like, oh, like all right, it's a cool shot. It's cool, but ultimately it didn't lead anywhere. So that's how I felt.
All right. How about you, Marie?
I'm kind of right there with him. Also, I was very distracted by how terrible Quicksilver's hair was. Like, I could not get over that because I'm just like, did you have a bleach accident in high school? Is that how that worked? Poor Aaron Taylor Johnson. I mean, he did what he could with it, but that was not a good costume, guys.
Okay. Anything else?
I mean, I felt the X-Men version of Quicksilver was better done visually.
Okay.
Yeah, which is one of the best parts actually about WandaVision is when Evan Peters shows up, and we're all like, "What?
What's going on now? What's going on?"
And no, he's literally a walking Easter egg, and he is eating it up, and I love it.
Agreed. How about you, Lord Deathman?
Are we talking opening action sequence leading into the introduction of the twins in the movie?
Correct.
Well, I hadn't seen the Avengers in a couple of years on screen, and I think my reaction to the first Avengers film, which was so positive, I think that I could have watched that opening sequence with them just reading the telephone book and just to be back sort of with those characters that I really enjoyed in that first film. So I was probably looking at it through some rose-tinted fandom goggles there. But I make no apologies for that. I stand for Marvel. I would bleed my own blood to keep the red in the logo. No disrespect to our distinguished panelists, Myke, and you, Cyber, who I know are big DC fans, but I'm just that way for Marvel. So
understand.
Yeah. It's just that there's a certain built-in latitude you're going to give these kinds of things. I thought it was a credible action sequence. I thought they delivered on my freeze frame and all of the things that I would have been interested at that particular point in my life. I had problems as far as I was like, there are some things that I'm going to have to put on a shelf as far as reconciling source material with what I'm seeing in this film. Hank Pym created Ultron. No casual is going to care about that, but the nerds do. Right now, it's going to be Tony Stark. That's you're going off script in terms of the Bible. Wanda and Pietro are not mutants. You're going off script. So I'm like, how is Whedon gonna sort of make this credible and make it sustainable moving forward with the rest of the movies and stories that obviously these characters are meant to be a part of. For where we were with the IP at that time, how fractured it was across all of the multiple corporate entities controlling Marvel. And this is something DC fans have never had to worry about. You know, I hear DC fans crying about Warner Brothers and how they're being mistreated and how all these IPs, but you got to remember, these guys were DC fans were eating so well before the resurgence of Marvel. Academy Award winning films, iconic superhero, Superman, you know, all, and Marvel was getting dumped on, you know, Swamp Thing movies, or rather Man Thing movies, and you know, the Blade, right? Like if a Marvel fan wanted to flex, it would be, oh man, but did you see Blade? That's a ghetto classic. You know, we were not doing well as a fandom, and it was understood in fandom land that DC dominated until Marvel turned that conversation around. So forgive me if I can't manage to muster as many tears as I could over the current situation with the DC and Warner Brothers, but being a Marvel fan and watching Age of Ultron just sort of spelled out the ascendancy of the brand. I mean, finally, we're getting credible films about Marvel properties. They are linked together in an ongoing story. So yeah, was I watching this with soft eyes? Sure. But I was having a great time. So I wasn't looking at anybody's wig. I wasn't, you know, worried about whether the term, I wasn't seriously worried about, you know, mutants or whether Hank Pym was going to show up. It was at the back of my mind, and I wondered about those things. But I had a glorious time with the opening of Age of Ultron, to sum up.
Thank you. Awesome. Yeah, I would agree. And finally, you, Jeffrey, what were your thoughts on seeing Wanda and Quicksilver for the first time?
Well, I'm going to read Arch Stanton real quick. A key point for me of Age of Ultron is this is the one and only Avengers being a team film. And none of the other four are they a cohesive team start to finish. And that makes Ultron a uniquely great film in the series. That's a great point, Arch. It really is. And you're my brother, just so you know. You know what I'm saying, bruh? I got your back, man. But anyways.
Tracksuit Mafia.
But I'm more sexually attracted to Lord Deathman if I'm gay for a day, just so you know. But no, but just to be clear, the look, what do you want me to say? It's a Joss Whedon fucking like intro, man. You know what I'm saying? Like it's cool, it looks good, it's like pretty dope, but at the same time, it's like predictable and like kind of bland a little bit, and everything goes their way and shit, you know. But it's cool looking. You know what I'm saying? They are all together. And let's be honest here, like if you put all the Avengers together, the original 6, I'll watch them fucking like sit around and fucking hold hands and pay to see that shit. I don't care. You know what I'm saying? Like I'll be good with it. So, you know, like, I mean, like Arch said, that's one thing I don't want to try to get in deep, you know, try to get core of the movie or whatever. But seeing them together like that in the intro, as a fan, it's fun. I mean, it really is. It's fun, man. It's fucking cool looking. Like they're all together. They're a group. There's just something about that camaraderie they have as Avengers, you know, that
yeah, Jeff, not to cut you off, but yeah, the chemistry was real. Not to throw shade Justice League's way, but you get all those actors together for the first time in the first, you know, film together, and you expect them.
Doesn't that parallel like a little bit like the Stan Lee ethos in a way when you think about it? Like if you connect it.
Yeah, you in the thought bubble in your head in the theater was a picture of Stan, right? These actors who'd been sort of doing it together for a couple of films now were a well-oiled machine, not just on the battlefield, but in the meta sense of it, in terms of these incredibly wealthy actors who were acting like they were at summer camp, and it shows on screen. And you know, and that kind of fun and optimism. I don't know who you have to be for that not to be infectious.
No, and you're watching them evolve, and you're knowing that as human beings, they're meeting Stan Lee in real life, and they're like blown away. You know what I mean? Like at meeting Stan Lee, you know, and what he stood for, like what he was about, and what Marvel Comics is about at the end of the day, like what it really is about, like the soul of it. Like, you know, the part of it that makes it a uniting thing, like an important thing that like really is something that can be like a a way to bridge gaps and like bridge divides between people at times. I mean, seriously, even though it's such a weird thing, it's superheroes and fantasy and like and weak ass like no nudity fucking like weak ass romantic shit like the Hulk like Natasha romance at Age of Ultron that is just like blah. You know what I mean? It's like it's like if
we're gonna get to that, Jeff.
Oh,
We
I
have
know,
to give the haters a chance to talk now.
But no, I just want to say that just like the core of the Avengers together, the 6 of them like that, the way that the intro starts, it's so powerful because their dynamic, their teamwork, like their chemistry as characters together, and seeing them develop the way that they do in this film, like as actors and as people, and then also in their roles as the characters and watching their arcs evolve. It's very interesting when you grapple with the whole MCU and watching all these films. It's amazing to see these moments where like these awesome, like really awesome actors and actresses were figuring out how to be Thor, and like I think that like the intro of that movie just kind of demonstrates in a way or signifies in a way kind of the evolution of these characters from Avengers to Ultron to Infinity War to Endgame.
Very true. Very true. So moving on.
Just as an aside, Marco, I really need you to stop living in my head rent-free. Like, you're going to have to start paying very soon. Like, judging by the comments going on.
That's Marco for you. Anyway, so moving on. So this is also our first time that we see the new, basically like almost new security that Tony has created, the Iron Legion. This is the first time seeing that. It's kind of a glimpse into the future if you think about it. This movie is filled with Easter eggs to future event films, which I totally didn't realize until like for the 3,000th time I've watched this. This time, I actually noticed all the Easter eggs for once in my life, and I thought this was interesting how many little bits and pieces of things that people said in this film that were written dialogue that were definitely things that were future to come. There's a lot of Endgame references, a lot of Infinity War references, things that you just don't really think about unless you're really paying attention, which I found that very interesting. But the Iron Legion, I thought was interesting that this is kind of a predecessor to Ultron, kind of, in my opinion, and showing how we're going to eventually get another robot into this film and that we're going to see something about that. So I thought that was kind of interesting. So then we go and basically after the fight in Sokovia is done, they've got the scepter. Tony has his, kind of his mental breakdown moment. He sees, kind of his future because Wanda basically encrypts him basically to have these visions. They ended up going back to the Avengers headquarters, which this is the first time seeing the new Avengers headquarters since, Avengers 1 when it used to be up in Tony's skyscraper. So we get to see the actual inside of this place. It's really immaculate. It's really awesome looking. They're going to have a giant party there and stuff like that. And basically that's when Tony and, Banner decide that they're going to start looking into making this Ultron character. So we have quite a few different scenes. People are talking to each other. We have all this kind of stuff going on. We see them kind of get ready for the party. And then all of a sudden the party happens. And then during the party is when out of nowhere, after the algorithms are running and Jarvis is working and stuff like that, is all of a sudden Ultron becomes aware. So my next question for you guys is what were your thoughts when all of a sudden Ultron just popped up like that, just as a, as this unit, this voice, basically, James Spader doing the voice. What was your thoughts of this type of like kind of introduction to Ultron? Were you guys, do you think it serviced the fandom? Do you think that this was a good introduction? Do you think that they approached this well? What were your thoughts on that? So starting with you, Myke.
So if you go based off the trailers, I liked and like that energy that the trailers gave off. I loved how Ultron was introduced. It was like a darkness kind of just swept into the party. So I personally loved it, but when it's kind of thrown in around like a bunch of jokes, like you have to like focus on just that, because you look at like before and after, like it kind of gets watered down or it kind of gets neutered afterwards, especially after watching the movie a few times. It doesn't like pop as much as it does in the theaters.
Very true. Very true. Very true. Very true. All right. How about you, Marie?
You're
I
on
can't
mute.
hear you.
My bad.
Oh damn, Marie, you fucked that up, man. I was totally gonna clip in and like put some crazy shit, like say coming out of you, like audio wise.
Saved
I know.
by the bell.
I hit that button too fast.
I was gonna hook you up.
And the world has been cheated of a bit. I know.
Oh shit, you were about to be a legend.
I agree with Myke. I think there are sequences in Ultron that really do need to be seen in a theater to have the same impact. Just on a small screen, Ultron's emergence just doesn't quite hit the same way it did the first time. There's a lot I like about the party sequences and how it fits together. There is that wonderful sort of Whedon rhythm. And as far as James Spader goes, I was really enthusiastic to see or hear James Spader, especially coming. Marco, stop. I've got to get something out. But I found myself sort of flashing to Blacklist because there are definitely some sequences where Spader's just phoning it in some cases.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Nice. I haven't seen that show. I have seen previews for it. I've heard great things about it, so definitely I'll have to check it out now and see the similarities there. But yeah, definitely Spader's voice is so awesome. It's so awesome. Jeff, your thoughts on the intro to Ultron, sir?
I think that again, I don't think that it's like a cop out or like gaslighting to say, oh, because it was like back in whatever 2013 or whatever the fuck it was, like they did the best they could with what they had or some shit. I'm not even going to try to play that card at all. I think that they had a vision with the villain. They did a great job with it. It was a great choice to go with Ultron. It was a great choice to get fucking Spader involved, and he sounded great from start to finish. And he was effective as a villain. And I think that I'm not gonna cry because I'm saying that Ultron is undervalued as a villain in the MCU or something like that, and he should be ranked way up high or whatever or some shit. I'm not trying to go there, but the dialogue, the atmosphere, the vibe you get from Ultron, like right off the bat when he first comes out and the first couple sentences that he speaks and whatnot and everything, it just it's authentic to me. It's quality. It's good. It's menacing. And it's cool to see the Avengers vulnerable. Some of them are very human, like Tony without the Iron Man suit. He's human. So at that point, for me, I mean, I like Ultron better when he's not half beat up and tore up and everything and whatnot. I like him better when he's all, big and tough looking and whatnot. But, I think that that it was a good choice to go with Ultron, and it sets an interesting tone at that point in the film where things are at with the party and everything and whatnot and that whole vibe. And again, I just don't know, I think they're trying to push some kind of anti-sex deal or something with some of these MCU films because Bruce Banner just gets handed chances to hit it with Nat and whatnot, with Black Widow. And he's always whatever, or I'll, just says some stupid shit that he's out or whatever. I mean, come on now. I mean, when the Black Widow throws it at you, you don't turn it down or whatever. You don't, you know what I'm saying? You don't say no or whatever. That's all I'm saying. I mean, I don't know, come on now.
Thank you.
Oh, Black Widow looked hot as hell in this movie too. Scarlett Johansson did. She looked bomb.
All right. Thank you. Anyway, so Deathman, your thoughts, sir, on the introduction to Ultron. And before you go on, I just want to make a mention of the awesome Stan Lee cameo that happens in that scene too as well. Super hilarious
you,
when he's
sir.
talking to Thor and he's like, "Oh, you don't want to try this, sir?" And he's like, "Just give it to me, I'll try it." And then all of a sudden shows them walking him out, which is really awesome. So I think that's a great Stan Lee cameo. I think it's one of his best. I mean, all his cameos are the best, but it's just a great cameo, and it's just a great one to talk about too as well. And your thoughts, Lord Deathman?
Sure. Listen, I'm one of those guys that when you get to those panels in the comic books where you see superheroes in social situations, I kind of like lock up. I'm like, this isn't quite right, right? Like guys in costumes at a party or like at somebody's house just chilling. So like, you know, my mind kind of did this leapfrog over the sort of we're all hanging out at Avengers Mansion type stuff. And I know it's kind of, you know, necessary. It's sort of endemic to the genre. We have to do that kind of work, but it was littered with so many Whedonisms. And, you know, as my female colleagues in fandom, you know, have really made me more literate to the kind of stillborn ship that was Bruce Banner and Black Widow. You know, that probably should have never happened. and then we wouldn't have gotten a lot of that offensive dialogue that sort of comes out of it. So, you know, other than Stan Lee being in that introduction, that didn't bring a lot. Maybe the hammer bit in terms of Steve sort of getting it up a little bit off of the table was like, yeah, I'm there for that. But once you get past that and you're introducing Ultron, I don't know. I'm not again, I'm not the biggest Joss Whedon fan. I'm not a fan of Whedonisms in terms of how he structures dialogue. But I do think that he's a very gifted structuralist when it comes to putting together a screenplay or a story. So I see his assignment. He's sitting in writing chair and saying, I have to, the assignment is I need to show something going from zero to sentience and like full consciousness, like this AI construct, you know, and you're dealing with something that's incredibly cliched in movies, the battle man versus machine, AI, you know, type stuff. And he's got to put a little bit of a different spin on it. And I think he nailed it, frankly. Not just the introduction to Ultron, but the birth of Ultron in terms of, you know, what would it be like to be born knowing everything immediately? And I think he got that.
I agree, Lord Deathman. Most definitely. Just want to shout out to Arch. He has to leave. Want to thank you for being in the comments, Arch, and good luck to your 5 a.m. wake up, sir. And thank you for watching the show. So we appreciate you coming in the comment section, sir. So we'll see you later. Don't forget, people, check out the Podcast Champions. Great place. Talk about that a little bit later, too. So after that scene, basically, Ultron attacks Jarvis. You know, supposedly Jarvis is destroyed. Tony finds, you know, after Ultron basically takes on this messed up form of himself, that he has a conversation with the Avengers in the room where they're doing the party. They have a battle sequence, and Ultron disappears. So once that happens, basically what ends up happening is, you know, the Avengers start looking, seeing where he could possibly be going. They discover that he possibly could be going to Wakanda, and our first introduction really into Wakanda, into vibranium, which is a really great thing, showing us that they're going in that direction to bring in Black Panther and so forth and get us that information. So I think that's really great. So then we end up over Wakanda. They're going to see a arms dealer known as Ulysses Claw, who we all know is a huge bad guy of Black Panther. And I think it's kind of interesting they decided to go with showing him losing his arm in the film to becoming who he's known as Claw in the comic books. I thought that was kind of an interesting take that they decided to do instead of having him just already have the claw type of arm that he has as Claw.
You don't even want to imagine the shit I can fucking think of with the claw and all that. Like, I'm thinking of some crazy shit, bro.
We already know that.
Deathman, you with me, bro?
Can I follow you there? What you would do with a sonic-powered claw?
You know I'm going deep here, man. I'm going deep.
He's going deep, people. So basically, that's when all of a sudden the twins come back into play, Quicksilver and Wanda. They're there with Ultron to get vibranium. And so my next question for you guys is, what was your guys' thoughts on Andy Serkis as Ulysses Claw? Did you like his take on it? Did you like how he approached it? Do you like him as the character? Are you a fan of his at all? Basically, just, what were your thoughts on him being cast as Claw, basically? Let's start with you, Marie.
It was kind of nice to see Circus's face. I mean, he spends so much time as the mocap king that I have to admit, it took a hot minute for me to remember that was Andy Serkis underneath all of that. I mean, I don't know if he actually bulked up for this, because he's not generally as large as Claw is, but I mean, he really, really, really did a great job of turning into this vaguely South African.
Jacked. Marie, you're right. He looks jacked. His freaking chest looks
mercenary, and he really sold it for me. I really have to give him credit for that. Like, he really sold it for me. I was like, yes, I see you as a man who could get in and out of Wakanda with vibranium and be shady.
Yeah, very much so. I would agree. I'm a fan of Andy Serkis ever since The Lord of the Rings. I watched all the behind the scenes and everything about him playing Gollum and stuff like that. So I actually already knew that he was a huge CGI person. Like, he did a lot of that stuff. And watching him throughout the years when he did King Kong and so forth and stuff like that, I was actually really psyched when I found out that he was playing a character in Age of Ultron. So I think he was a fantastic choice. Just like you said, I thought he did a good job. Yeah, normally I don't recognize him being that physically buff. I think he definitely probably got into shape for the role, because he's not really a heavy set guy or anything. Usually he's still pretty, thin. But he definitely must have bulked up for the role, most definitely, I think. But he looked really good. I thought he looked the part very well, and I thought he did a good job. How about you, Myke? What is your thoughts on Andy Serkis?
Yeah, so it's weird because I love his characters, but I always forget it's him because most of the time it's CGI, right? So when I saw him pop up, I was like, oh, this guy is doing a great job of acting this character, but I didn't recognize him until the credits roll. I was like, oh, that's the guy from Planet of the Apes. That's the guy from Lord of the Rings. He did a great job. I enjoyed him. I'm glad he was in Black Panther. And as Marie said, he seemed like a arms dealer that could sneak in and out of the most technology advanced country in the world. He just had that vibe about him.
Most definitely, most definitely. How about you, Jeff? What are your thoughts on Andy Serkis?
I mean, like I said, he looks very strapping, but yeah. I mean, hey, great secondary character. Looks cool, sounds cool, talks cool. I mean, hey, he's got the package, baby. Like, he's getting after it. But yeah, I mean, he's good. I don't know. I mean, he directed Venom 2, so I don't know if he was tripping on acid or something, why he was directing it or something, or what happened or whatever. But I mean, hey, we're all allowed to make a mistake here and there.
No spoilers. I haven't seen it yet.
That's okay. It sucks. So, I mean, me, Marie. Well,
that's a resounding recommendation.
Marie, look, you and I might be ideologically opposite, but at the end of the day, I relate to you enough to where if I hate it, you'll hate it. You know what I'm saying? So there you go. But no, I mean, honestly, Claw is almost as cool as fucking Deathman, basically. But he's not quite there. He's getting there. He's almost getting to Myke level, but he's not quite there. But no.
I think so. I appreciate that.
Can I keep on expanding? Can I talk about the fight after and everything, or where we at?
We're not there yet.
Dude. I was trying to
drink some more.
My momentum was charging there. I was going to the Super Saiyan mode and shit there for a minute.
Well, I don't want you going to Super Saiyan mode, thank you. Not on my show, on my watch, sir. Thank you very much. Anyways, Lord Deathman, your thoughts on Andy Serkis, please.
Well, Circus just strikes me as that consummate actor, right? That you could give him any job and it's going to be about the acting. It's like, you want me to play a trash can? Well, all right then. The show must go on. So I'm as much of a stan of Andy Serkis as anybody is, and I think his Claw was fantastic, but not just the performance there, but his actual existence, right? So again, for those of us who've really done the crate diving and read the stuff, we're like, okay, that's Claw. I mean, there's no way you can't progress from Claw to Black Panther. We're talking about vibranium, so the universe is opening up in this film, and I think that's what Age of Ultron really gets right. It's that laser pointer for the kittens who read all the floppies when they were kids. But just to backtrack for a second, the one thing I want to say that we did kind of leapfrog over is Whedon really knows his stuff, and that you cannot take away from him in terms of him reading the actual comic books. When you first see Ultron take his first physical form as one of the sort of destroyed droids, the Sentinels that Tony has built, that's Ultron 1. And if you read the comics, Ultron is an iterative being. You go from Ultron 1 to Ultron 2, 3, 4, and all the way up the ladders with him learning more as an AI. And basically the gag is you can't beat him with the same trick twice. So I was like, oh wow, okay, we're gonna see like him sort of get into better armors, better shell, and the consciousness of Ultron is just completely divorced from any physical form. That just happens to be incidental. So I was pleased with what Whedon's breadth of knowledge in terms of taking that on.
So I don't know if I can ask questions on it, but how do you feel about him getting to his, I guess, final form in the movie? Would you have preferred him to be like still incomplete at the end? I would
have preferred room for more improvement, because that's how it kind of went in the comic books. Like Ultron's, I mean, you get Ultron Forever and Ultron Unlimited and that kind of stuff. Where there's no more counting numbers. But I figure it's a big Hollywood blockbuster, and they wanted to sort of fire all their guns at once. So I think he does like 6 or 7 outfit changes, Ultron in
let me jump
Age
in
of
real
Ultron.
quick. Mike, I can answer your question right here, bro.
They're going to kill me. I told them to send me a video holding an object and start nodding.
Anything is a dildo when you really put your mind to it. There's no such thing as too large or too sharp. Every time you stop to question yourself, I want you to tell yourself, I can, and I will.
There we go. That is the anthem.
Okay.
All right. The weight was a little.
That's
little
girl
much.
power.
Yeah,
right
that
there.
was.
Bye now. Right.
Anyways, thank you, Lord Deathman. Thank you for that. You're very right. Josh Whedon did know his stuff when he came out with this film. He did when he did the first Avengers and this Avengers. He definitely always put those nice little tidbits in there, which thank you for bringing those out.
Josh Whedon directed that meme I just put on right there.
And so as we move on, so we have that exchange with Ultron and Claw. Claw loses his arm. He starts to become Claw that we know from the comic books. The twins and the Avengers pop up there, and they have a fight sequence. Wanda basically brainwashes all the characters, puts them under a spell. They all have their own trip out. Basically, Thor has his trip out where he sees Heimdall. We have Black Widow go back to her days at the Red Room. We have Captain being in a dance hall with Peggy, and they're supposed to have their dance that they're supposed to have when he went down in 41. Of course, Hawkeye doesn't have this happen to him this time because of what happened in the first Avengers. That scene is absolutely priceless, I think, and he puts that arrow right into Wanda's head, electrifying her. I think is really fantastic. And basically, that's when right at the end, Bruce Banner. We see Bruce Banner. It's like, oh, is this a code green, guys? Is this code green? And you see Wanda with that evil look on her face, saying, I want to finish this, And basically, they put Hulk under spell, and that's what takes us to the giant Hulkbuster Scene. So this is basically going to be the final part of part 1 of the MCU's amazing part 1 review on Age of Ultron. This is about the halfway point. We're going to talk about the Hulkbuster Scene, and that'll be it for the this first review.
What?
What? So, yes.
What the fuck?
Anyway, so basically, all of a sudden, the Hulk goes on a rampage. He ends up over in Wakanda area, into a city populated area, and he's like basically destroying a whole bunch of stuff. And that's when Tony's like, "Oh, can you tell me all the things Hulk is going on with?" And he pops up all the different things, and things are happening over there. And that's when we get the introduction to the first time seeing the amazing Hulkbuster suit. Oh my god! When I saw this on the big screen, I was literally hopping up in my chair because I wanted to see the suit so bad because it was just so freaking awesome. And the fact that they brought it into this, I give high kudos to Joss Whedon for bringing this into this film. So my final question of this part 1 review is for you guys: what was your guys' feelings on that final battle sequence with Hulkbuster and the Hulk in that area? Anything about that scene, what you guys liked, what you didn't like, anything you like about it. So we'll start with you, Marie.
I am perhaps the person that you should not start with, because I was never a big Iron Man fan.
You want to trade, Marie? I'll trade with you. You can be 4 or 5 or whatever the fuck I get, and I'll take your shit.
Dude, I'm already there.
Okay, all right.
No, because I was just not. I mean, I was not the person who was bouncing up in her chair because of Hulkbuster armor, and I was just kind of like, okay. I did think it was. I thought it was visually interesting. I was really particularly interested in how they were going to handle the Hulk threat, because again, I am not as familiar with the Marvel universe as perhaps from the comics as perhaps some other people. So
that's okay. I forgive you.
I am touched by your benediction. So that part wasn't really interesting to me, like in and of itself. What fascinated me was how they were going to undo the buildup that they did in the previous film, like the previous team up film, where, I mean, the Hulk beats a god. So he's been pretty much built up to be this ultimate weapon. Sorry, Mark Ruffalo. And then Tony now has to like address that. I mean, for me, it kind of took me back to DC's Babel series, when Batman, right, Mike, right?
Oh yeah.
When Batman has to come up with, or doesn't have to, he's just paranoid.
He's Batman. He has to.
It's just paranoid, man. Like, there's medication for that, Bruce. There is.
It's all about crime fighting, though.
Right? If you can't make your own neurotransmitters, store-bought is just fine. But like, it took me back to that, because, you know, there's this whole sequence where Batman actually comes up with a way to counter every single member of the Justice League. And so that kind of put me with, okay, this is apparently what Tony is doing.
Very true. Very true. Yeah, that's why I went with you first, because I wanted a very different opinion. That's why I chose you first. So
he's like, I smell that you don't know anything about Marvel Comics, so I'm going to put you on the chopping block. I got you, Cyber. I got you.
No. That's not exactly it. I just wanted to get your opinion first, because I knew that you would have a very different take on it. So that's why I chose you first. Thought that would be nice, for the audience to see something a little different, because I was all of a sudden like, oh, I'm so excited about it. And then you were like, okay, this is my side of it, so give you a little something different. Little viewership, people, viewership. Anyways, Mike, your thoughts, please.
Yeah. So first, just so everyone knows, the DC animated version of Babel is called Doom. Fantastic movie, by the way. So as a just general comic book nerd, I know about the Hulkbuster armor. I thought it was a cool fight scene. After seeing more of the movies, I now wish that it was Thor and Hulk that would have happened. So in the third Thor movie, it could have been more of a rematch with them fighting. Like I said, it was cool. I guess what bugs me is like the power scaling in the MCU. It seemed very off compared to the first movie. So like he I'm always angry, and this takes out that giant monster thing in one punch, and then now Tony can take him out. It seemed kind of weird to me. So like I love the fight scene. It was amazing. I would have wished Hulk would have went against the god Thor, and not just a human in a cool suit. especially because that's before the vibranium suit that upgrades. So it's just a regular, I guess I'm assuming, titanium suit. So I felt like Hulk is too strong to be knocked out by that. It's like going to the Batman v Superman, when once the kryptonite wears off and Batman's punching Superman and it's not even phasing him. That's like the equivalent level it should have been at in the Age of Ultron. So cool, but I guess the movie physics don't make any sense after thinking about it.
Interesting. Very, very good points. Thank you for that. Jeff, your thoughts, please.
Well, I want to just connect or like riff off of Myke. It's unfortunate. This was one of the last really like fucking awesome Hulk fight scenes we got like in the MCU. I mean, really, when you think about it, this was one of the real big ones that we got before we kind of got like the like half Hulk bullshit or whatever in Infinity War, where Bruce Banner like had fucking premature ejaculation or whatever and like couldn't become Hulk or whatever.
Oh man.
Thinking about Joss Whedon, to tell you the truth, like the Joss Whedon vibe that I get from him almost thinks me about my days of premature ejaculation, just to be clear. But anyways, as far as the Hulkbuster armor goes and the Hulk, that shit's freaking awesome, dude. What do you want me to say? Like, hey, I'm an intellectual, but I'm also fucking into like really cool shit. And I mean, again, you watch the trailers and like you watch the trailer reactions and see people's reactions to seeing the Hulkbuster going against Hulk. It makes people fucking go crazy. Like, I mean, the Hulk is awesome. Like seriously, I mean, I think that people sometimes maybe don't consider the value of the Hulk to the Avengers, like what he is, like what he represents in terms of his impact, like his popularity, like his whole shit, his whole game that he brings to the table. I mean, and again, hats off to Mark Ruffalo for doing such a great job after Edward Norton fucking couldn't handle his business and whatnot and decided that he didn't like getting paid for fucking 10 years and he'd go just play with himself or whatever. I don't know what happened to him, but it's all good. Good job, Edward. Good decision. But no, it was a great scene. It really was. It was awesome that it was Tony in that scene. I mean, come on now. He's Iron Man, man. He's Tony Stark. Like, I mean, he's the most popular character in the fandom even now. I don't know if anybody will ever surpass him. But I will tell you this. This is outside of the lines a little bit. And you know what? And this could be scary that me saying that, but this is outside of the lines of the Age of Ultron. But anybody out there who thinks and like bets against Marvel Studios and thinks they're done and they can't beat Endgame, they can't beat Infinity War or whatever, it's over or some shit, they are fucking stupid as hell, man. I'm telling you right now.
We've heard that kind of hubris before in a fandom.
I would put money down.
That
right
shall
now.
Remain nameless.
Bro, Kevin Feige could fucking tie a hand behind his back. Play with
I feel like it's
himself.
been pretty clear.
Dude, Kevin Feige could go to sleep and bang out nasty movies, bro. He's got it. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just saying, like, I doubt very strongly that he saved all his darts and and saved all his arrows and whatnot, and his quiver's empty. I mean, you know what I'm saying? There's plenty of really dope shit coming out with Marvel, but they like this to make us wait. So they're letting it build.
So I definitely agree that there's more stuff coming, but I think these original Avengers are like so embedded in people's hearts that the next new Avengers can't keep up with them. So even if the movie is amazing, no one's going to replace Iron Man.
They'll find a way with Disney Plus and films together to create a dichotomy that will connect these next Avengers to the fans in a similar fashion.
I don't know, man. I am so stoked about the next Doctor Strange film. Like, I can't even contain myself. Like, I am very, very
excited. Myke, what are you gonna say, Myke?
Like I was saying, like I'm very excited. Like, so Doctor Strange, I'm very excited for the movie. I love the last Spider-Man movie, but I don't know, as characters, can they hold the same weight as Tony
It depends on the situation. What
Tony
you give them to work with.
I agree with you, Mike.
Actually,
I
I'm
agree
going to play
with
that
you.
later. I'm going to play that later.
Mike, it boils down to the story. What they give them to work with in terms of a goal, a enemy, like a united, reason to.
All right. So from the phase 3 and phase 4, who's at Iron Man level right now in your mind?
Nobody.
And that's my point. My point is you can have.
And it's a very good one.
Fantastic stories, but like the characters themselves, I think the only one that's up there is Spider-Man.
I'll go with White Vision only because he has no penis.
But neither does Colored Vision, so we can't discriminate.
Yeah,
having no penis is fucking awesome.
All right, thank you, Jeff. So moving on to Deathman, Mr. Lord Deathman. Please give us your final thoughts, sir.
On the Hulkbuster, right? So I'm closing the show,
Correct.
so I want to close big. I will say that when I was in the theater watching that Hulkbuster scene, I knew we were leaving behind, people who hadn't read the comic books. That must have just seemed really gratuitous. Like, why does he have an armor on top of his armor so that he can armor while he's armoring? It must have looked kind of weird. But if you have read the comic books, and no shame if you haven't, there is a long tried and true tradition of Tony Stark building Hulkbusters. And what saved that film, what saved that particular sequence in the film for me was Robert Downey Jr. because he has to carry it. You have a mindless Hulk, so he's not really acting against someone in that scene, but he sounds like he's terrified like throughout the whole sequence, and he's just so frantic and manic about getting his next set of countermeasures before the Hulk can recover. Joss Whedon structurally captures the dynamics of the personalities of these two characters and really, makes that action sequence somewhat character driven and a whole lot of fun. So, Age of Ultron is the middle child, right? It's the one that everyone throws shade on. It's the one that, it's easy to dunk on Age of Ultron. And I'm realizing that I've matured, right? Like I won't fascistly defend it regardless. But I will say that as far as comic book lovers, they really took us all the way with Age of Ultron, and I am left some folks behind.
What was that? His brother? That was Lord Deathman's brother.
That was Lord Deathman.
Why are you showing Lord Deathman's brother? Are you trying to upstage Lord Deathman?
No, Skeletor and I are rivals. We're arch rivals.
That was
He's not my brother. He's not my brother. He wears a hood.
Tag team partner, like in the BDSM club.
I mean, well done. You're taking on Mark Hamill now.
Yes, you are, Lord Deathman.
Skeletor and I are arch rivals.
Sometimes maybe good, sometimes maybe shit.
Yes.
Anyway, so thank you, Lord Deathman, for that. That was very eloquent, sir. Very eloquent. All right, so fans and out there in the amazing streaming world, we want to thank you for watching this review, part 1 of Avengers Age of Ultron. We want to throw props to all of our amazing panel tonight, Lord Deathman, Marie, and Mike. All of them you can find on their residual podcast. You can find Podcast Champions on the amazing SakarFreeform.net with Mr. Lord Deathman. You can find Mr. Mike on Writing the Right with his co-host Jeff, I believe is your Jeff's the other sidekick's name, who unfortunately wasn't able to come on tonight. And then, of course, if you like a Star Trek series show, Trekker's Delight, which is an awesome podcast about everything Star Trek, you can find Miss Marie on there sometimes when she guest hosts on there. And then, of course, Jeff, you have some final words, sir.
Oh well, if you check out the Trekker's Delight when I'm on with Deathman, that shit will be some serious shit. I'm just letting you know right now. Anyways, Trekker's Delight is dope. I had a good time over there, and they're good people. And you know what? This whole fucking panel is good people because that's what we do with the Bleeding Edge. Like, you can say what you want, but like, you know what? Like, these are all genuine good people here. Like, getting after it tonight, talking some shit.
I second that wholeheartedly.
That's
Jeff.
right. You know what I'm saying?
It's been great to be on the
day,
panel with Mike and Maria and
Marie,
Cyber.
I appreciate that.
Mad respect, hon. Appreciate you coming on and doing your thing, man. you know. And Mike, like, yo, good job, bro. Good to kick it with you, man.
Thank you. I hope to have you on soon.
Oh yeah, man. Listen, I'll take my Xanax before I come on your show. So I'll, calm down, and I won't drink alcohol and smoke shit during the show. You know, of course, I'll abstain. You know, but no, seriously, you guys are great. And listen, at the end of the day, shout out to Cyberneticshark, fucking dope ass moderator, man. Fucking does his shit efficiently, professionally, handles his business. No matter how many guests or shit or whatever's on the panel or whatever, just handles his business consistently. And you know what? I mean, shit. I'm not gonna cry over Cyber or whatever. He's my boy, but this dude handles his fucking business. So I just want to put it out there, like, you know, I'm no joke. If you fuck with me, I'll slap you. You know what I'm saying? I'll fuck you up. But like Cyber, he straightens me out. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm worried about. I mean, he tells me what to do. So you know. At that point, no, but seriously, I love you guys. Lord Deathman, you're my brother. Marie, again, hon, thanks for coming on. I hope you had a great time. I really do. I told you before the show, this show was going to be hot.
It always is.
Well, hey, on the bleeding edge, we don't play.
You're not dinging him for the Huns. You're just going to let those.
Come on now.
I'm just going to let that slide. I got a migraine starting, so yeah.
I'm LGBT friendly, motherfucker.
All right.
I'm just going to let that.
You forgot the Q and the plus and all that.
Dude, I'm good with every group. As long as I
there
can hit some shit once in a while. As long as I can hit something here and there, I'm good.
And like I said before, you can find me and Jeff on several of the multi-platform places, TikTok, Twitter, anywhere you can think of. You can find him under TrueKnowledge on a few of his things.
We got the MCU's Bleeding Edge OnlyFans coming out soon.
That I'm not aware of, but okay. And we want to thank you all. Yes.
Mike's going to be your first subscriber.
I'm going to be the GM, Mike.
All right.
Yeah, we'll be taking pictures of Avengers and I guess undressing. I don't know. Who knows with him? He likes to do some weird shit. Anyway, so we want to thank all you guys for coming on. We want to thank the live stream guests. We want to thank all the wonderful people in our comment section, Arch, Jeff Bowman, and everyone that commented during the live stream, Marco, and so forth. We want to thank you guys. But guys, definitely check out SakarFreeforms.net, where you can find the Podcast Champions, which is an awesome, great podcast and a great free forum where you can talk about anything.
Champions.
You know, check them out. Check out the amazing Right the Right podcast too as well. Mike there with his co-host Jeff, which I have a Jeff co-host too, as you can see. And check us out, the MCU's Bleeding Edge. You can find, if you enjoy our content on here, you want to see some solo stuff from me or from Jeff, check us out too as well. We appreciate it, guys, and we will catch you in the next parts.
Just don't let me find your daughter or some shit in some back room. I mean, you know, something could happen. I don't know. You know, it could be intense. You don't know. I'm just playing.
That was not right.
Oh, come on. Are you serious?
Fuck you, Steve from Bumble. Fuck you.
There we go. That's how we do it. Yo, MCU's Bleeding Edge, Marie, Mike, Cyberneticshark, Lord Deathman, TrueKnowledge.